64. People's legislators vote massive weapons money when voters support the wars to be fueled. Seldom do good reasons exist for such foreign attack and slaughter. So how are billions of constituents convinced to support war buyer leaders? With lies, of course, gigantic, shameless whoppers. Evil terrorists 12,000 miles away will come kill your kids in their beds unless we bomb them for 20 years over there. A new book, Autocracy Incorporated, reports these identical stories shared between dictators the world over. Putin swept to his sixth term with a 95% landslide achieved by his 2-year 100-repetition Ukraine destruction necessity. The true aggressors were Ukrainian Nazis and drug addicts, the two most contemptible, dangerous villains Russians had ever heard of. To justify their huge technical military support of Putin's foreign savagery, China's spokespeople and top leaders constantly repeat, word for word, Vladimir's bullshit. Adolf Hitler's propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels, minimized German and European resistance to 7 million murders of Jews and blitzkrieg conquest of Europe with his big lie, the glory and justice of the 1,000-year Reich. His discovery was nothing other than every patriarch's 10,000-year foundation. Loud, incessantly shouted lies soon become every brainwashed population's only truth, rendering them forevermore sheep, remaining docile acceptors of worldwide and domestic savage war on myriads of non-combatants of all ages for every soldier confronted. Aren't all bad products sold with 1,000 identical TV commercials? Generally, only American voters under 40 years old have felt angry and sick about the 7-month American bomb murder of 40,000 Palestinian civilians, almost entirely avoiding the real enemy, Hamas terrorists in tunnels. But the dissent could jeopardize Biden's re-election. So the war PR step-up was critical. The slick-talking Defense Department spokesman was promoted to full administration mouthpiece, who has pounded two themes for a half year. We stand 1,000% behind Israel's right to defend itself, and we insist upon the IDF holding civilian casualties to a minimum. In fact, a single killed innocent is too many. Every American has heard John Kirby's two bottom lines 100 times, but only a few % of us once tuned in to the 60-second interview with the Palestinian man whose smashed pelvis wasn't improving from totally unavailable surgery or pain medicine, nor his mood with dehydration and starvation. But his true misery was his entire future of grief, mourning 82 extended family members murdered by a single American 2,000-pound bomb. John Kirby's employer just signed the $23 billion bill for more bullets and bombs for Israel and continues to direct UN sabotage of 90% of world nations' demand to stop the bombing. What's important is the American voters' belief that whatever falls out of Israeli bombers to blast all who live far above Hamas tunnels is merely Israel's sacred right of self-defense. And we gotta believe that benevolent Uncle Sam's finger wagging against all civilian casualties has to make 100,000 dead and wounded, 90% civilians, okay, acceptable collateral damage. And American leaders' criticism of this absolves them of deliberate bestial proxy weapon criminal responsibility. Mr. Kirby, of course, never mentions that American law forbids any weapons of ours to be sent to any foreign power, either slaughtering civilians with them or failing to fully feed, water, rehouse, and medically rescue non-combatants harmed by American war supply. This lie by omission jerks American voters' eyes away from the irrefutable executive and legislative war crime. A recent speech of mine reviewed 20 American universities' explosion of entirely peaceful Palestinian protest, at worst sounding the "Palestinians free from river to sea" slogan, which sounds a lot like "no place for you damn Jews." Mainly, though, their protest was, isn't 40,000 Palestinian civilians killed by American bombs enough? Then, at UCLA, a Jewish mob attacked Palestinians in tents with steel spikes. Biden immediately gave a speech decrying savage, violent anti-Semitism. To sell a war, keep it going, and get the Israel defense vote, what is necessary? Lie, lie, lie. The American-Israeli civilian slaughter was in no way justified by the bestial Hamas murder of 1,200 Israelis, which only called for direct, civilian-sparing routing of Hamas from their tunnels, with extraordinary delicacy in the attempt to free the hostages. Only the truth can galvanize the American population to support peace and support only leaders who work to save, not ruin or murder 2.3 million Gazans. I want you listeners to work with the truth of impending nuclear war and water loss holocausts unless we act to stop them. The truth, however, will neither set you free or save your ass unless you and your billion close friends work for love law to reform and heal our extremely sick, lawless human race. And this human race says that's all.